Lord of Mystery. The Return of the Stars Chapter 111 to 120. Inside Greco Villa. Hastur tasted the fine wine from Greg's collection while listening to him talk about how to promote his title in the current environment. Among the people he knew, Greg was the most proficient in this kind of thing, so when he decided to digest the potion through the process of being promoted to a peerage, he naturally listed Greg as his first choice. After sending a thank you note and waiting for a day, Greg had free time. The fastest way to advance to your title is to donate enough gold pounds. This is the current mainstream trend in promoting your title, but I don't think you will choose this method. Greg said, giving Hastur a thoughtful look. Asta coughed lightly and said, Greg, my current financial situation is much better than before. Oh, so you chose to be promoted to a peerage by donating gold pounds? No, I choose another way. Hastur directly vetoed this path. Greco was not surprised and said with a smile, in addition to this promotion method, there are 3 other ways. The first is to gain enough credit. For example, when you solve the workhouse incident, you can accumulate a certain amount of credit. Of course, the fastest way to accumulate merit is to go to the battlefield to fight and make meritorious deeds. Many earls and dukes have been promoted because of their major meritorious service. But this method is too dangerous. You are still young and have no experience on the battlefield. In addition, there have been no large-scale wars recently. It is better to stay in backland and wait for other opportunities. Greg drank a glass of wine and gave Hastur some time to think before continuing. The second way is to become a vassal of a great noble. This is the fastest and easiest way for you to be promoted at present. As long as you can convince my father, you will have the opportunity to become an earl. This is the greatest limit of power in his hands. Becoming a vassal of the Negan family means that you will lose a certain amount of freedom, and in the future your family will advance and retreat together with the Negan family and maintain consistent interests. Greco said in a gentle tone, from my personal perspective, I very much hope that you will choose this promotion path. Greg, you know me. Hastur smiled and rejected the proposal. He wanted to strengthen the Campbell family, but he did not want the Campbell family to become a vassal of the Negan family. Moreover, becoming a vassal of the Negan family is the only way to be promoted to earl, which is not in line with his pursuit of the future. By then, unless he is willing to bear the crime of betraying the Negan family, there will be basically no other opportunities for promotion. Of course, there is an extreme way. That is to put the Negan family on the throne, establish a new kingdom, and in the new kingdom, become a prince or grand duke with their own contribution. Then he will overthrow the royal rule of the Negan family and achieve his own path as the Black Emperor. Unless he has no choice, he would prefer to directly overthrow the current royal family. After all, when he reaches Sequence 2, he will inevitably become their enemy. Asta, I recognize your pride. Greg smiled and proposed the last way. Hastur obtained the recognition of the powerful people with real power in the Loan Kingdom, including the royal family represented by the king. After all, whether you want to be promoted to a noble title or not, all you need is the nod of the person above you. As for how much credit you have made and how much contribution you have made, these are all reasons that can be made up for later. Many people tend to fall into a misunderstanding, which is to reverse the order. It's not that you make merit first and then get promoted, it's that the small group of people at the top recognize you first and then look at your merit. If your merits are sufficient, then you will be promoted directly and openly, and no one can find fault. If the credit is not enough, then work a little bit to add a few more credits to your resume. It doesn't even need to be to this extent. Anyway, it will only attract a few insignificant criticisms. Hastur also agreed with Greco's words, but when he heard others say it, he still felt a little sad. He did not forget his innocent character, and asked in surprise, can the game of power still be played like this? Greg was silent for a while, then said with a smile on his face, "Asta, it is precisely because this is a power game that we can play it like this." After leaving Greco Villa, Hastur sat on the carriage with an extra piece of information in his hand. It was a gift given to him by Greg. It contained basic information about several powerful nobles in the Loan Kingdom, and even recorded their likes and dislikes. This was a very heavy gift, and even Greco specifically told him to remember to destroy this information after reading it. He finally chose the last promotion path, which was also the one that best met his needs. But when it came time to start implementing it, he was still a little hesitant. Once the power game begins, it must be followed to the end, and there is no room for turning back halfway. At the moment, he only needs bribes, but in the future, there will be two sequences, Corrupted Baron and Corrupted Earl, waiting for him. In this aspect, my awareness is far inferior to Russell's. Hastur sighed, closed his eyes and was silent for a while. When he opened his eyes again, there was no hesitation in his heart. There is a saying that goes well, those who keep moving forward may not necessarily die, and those who keep hiding behind may not necessarily die, but those who hesitate halfway will definitely die. Now that you have chosen to move forward, you can no longer hesitate. After returning home, Asta asked the chef to prepare a midnight snack and asked the maid to send it to the study. Asta sat at the desk and began to read the information of the dignitaries given by Greg. After memorizing everything, he burned it with candlelight. Taking out a pen and paper, he wrote down 3 names on a blank paper. Prime Minister, Earl Hall, and Duke Georgina Augustus. According to Greg, as long as he can build a good relationship with these 3 dignitaries, it will not be difficult to be promoted to Viscount, let alone Earl. Among them, the Prime Minister represents the Negan family. Earl Hall is Audrey's father, a powerful nobleman with both power and wealth, and has been deeply trusted by the king recently. The last one, Georgina Augustus, is an important member of the royal family and the only woman among the 3 nobles. Asta reasonably suspected that Greg deliberately mentioned Georgina Augustus and wanted to have fun with it. After thinking about it, Asta put Georgina Augustus at the end, and the person in front was the Prime Minister. Prime Minister Agushid Negan is the younger brother of Duke Negan and Greg's uncle. With his relationship with Greg can help introduce him. He is the most accessible dignitary. Because of Greg's relationship, as long as you find out what the Prime Minister likes and dislikes, it should not be difficult to successfully bribe him. Earl Hall is a bit difficult to deal with. He does have a good relationship with Audrey, but this is not a plus point. On the contrary, it may trigger Earl Hall's hostility. A handsome baron who has not yet married, deliberately trying to please Earl Hall, and is very close to Audrey. No matter who it is inevitable to have a lot of imagination. As for the last one, let's build a good relationship with the first 2 first. After enjoying the midnight snack in the evening, Hastur took a bath, lay on the bed and fell asleep, and came to the Hall of Stars. He was ready to spy on the fate between himself, the Prime Minister and Earl Hall. See if he can get any corresponding inspiration from it. With his eyes closed, the world in front of him was dark. Only one future picture appeared, with Prime Minister Agushid Negan standing on a high position, and he stood below. Between the two was a box full of treasures. Isn't this a revelation to me that I can only have a good relationship with the Prime Minister by giving him a large sum of money? Asta frowned. This is not a good revelation. Although I just took a rough look, the treasure in the box must be at least tens of thousands of pounds. I don't want to give such a large sum of money to the Prime Minister. I'd better try other methods first, and if it doesn't work, I'll talk about it later. After a short rest, he closed his eyes again, ready to take a peek at his fate with Earl Hall. There is also only one future picture, which also represents an ominous revelation. Under the shining of the crimson moon, In a beautiful and exquisite garden, flowers bloomed in the wind, and on the cobblestone path, he and Audrey talked happily and almost walked side by side. This was originally a very beautiful picture, but behind the two of them, stood Earl Hall with a sullen face. What kind of hell map is this? Asta opened his eyes in shock. If this scene really happened, it would be too kind of Earl Hall not to chase him with a knife. In the hazy moonlight, a man and a woman, a small path full of flowers, walking side by side. The relationship between the two is not ordinary. Earl Hall saw this scene. It would be a miracle if he could befriend me. Absolutely can't let this scene happen. Asta was alert in his heart. Before Earl Hall helped him to be promoted to the title, such a thing must not happen. If a baron like himself was targeted by a powerful noble like Earl Hall, it would be too difficult to be promoted to the title. Even with the help of Greg, it would be difficult. It's worthy of being the role of a briber. Give me 2 sticks before it starts. Asta sighed, not wanting to think about these troubles for the time being, and cast his eyes on the stars of the high-dimensional overlooker. He was still hiding in the light cocoon, and the light cocoon seemed to have a breath of life than before. It seemed that something was brewing. Light cocoon, breath of life, brewing. Could it be that the high-dimensional overlooker also wants to learn from the mother tree of desire and start giving birth? Hastur was surprised, and the more he thought about it, the more he felt that this was possible. It is estimated that the high-dimensional overlooker is planning to use his authority to conceive new life. Then let this new life be born on Earth. In the known old days of the outer gods, the high-dimensional overlooker should be an existence that is more likely to be born on Earth. Just because he did not do so in the past does not mean that he does not have the ability. Just like the superstar overlord, once he changes his mind, he immediately shows terrible action. Is this equivalent to pushing the stars to descend on Earth? Hastur's heart trembled suddenly. The superstar overlord woke up from his slumber because of his appearance, and chose to actively and proactively want to bring his power to Earth. It was also because of him that the high-dimensional overlooker chose to be born on Earth from a monitor that quietly peeked at the life of the outer gods in the dark. The stars returned to their positions? Is this the true meaning of the stars returning to their positions? Hastur found it hard to accept this guess for a while. But if you think about it carefully, this is indeed in line with the meaning of the stars returning to their positions. The star returner is the existence that guides the stars to the correct position. If the Earth is the correct position, then all this seems to make sense. All this is my own choice. Although I don't have any thoughts in this regard, some of my actions have indirectly or directly contributed to the stars returning to their positions. Asta was silent, and he remembered his previous conversation with Bernadette. Because of fate, the stars will guide you. What he said, on the contrary, came true to himself. Fate, he deceived and guided others in the name of fate, but he also fell into fate without knowing it. This is really an irony. Asta closed his eyes and was silent for a long time before opening his eyes to look at the star where the high-dimensional overlooker was. It seems that I have to come to the Hall of Stars every day to observe it in the future, so as not to miss any important information. Asta observed the high-dimensional overlooker for a while, confirmed that he had no abnormal movements for the time being, and then retracted his gaze and left the Hall of Stars. Late at night, an unprecedented feeling spread from the starry sky, and Hastur immediately woke up from his deep sleep. He first looked at the window with caution. The 2 windows were closed. It was not Mr. A who came to visit him late at night. This feeling, is there something big happening? Hastur stretched out his right hand to cover his heart. That strange feeling made it difficult for him to fall asleep. He got up, took his cane and came to the window, and carefully opened the window. Outside the window, the light of the crimson moon was shining more than ever before. The red moonlight spread endlessly in the sky without any cover. interweaving a blood-red giant net, as if intercepting something. In the red moonlight, the light of the stars was eclipsed, but there was a star that bloomed a white light that was blinding. The white light was unmatched, rushing through the blood-red giant net, and all obstacles seemed to have become a joke. Seeing this, Hasta immediately understood why he had trouble falling asleep tonight. Because the superstar overlord actually chose to take action at this time. It has only been 3 days since he proposed this plan in the Hall of Stars. For the outer gods of the old days who have a long time, the superstar overlord move this time can definitely be regarded as swift and resolute. Judging from the current situation, a true god can't stop the superstar overlord at all. Even if the power of the superstar overlord will be weakened when it passes through the initial barrier, it is not something that a true god can resist. Soon, the stars in the crimson light also lit up. It should be the goddess of night and the mother goddess of the earth who made a move together. But the stars represented by the superstar overlord still flashed with an extremely dazzling light, and there was a trend of getting stronger and stronger. In the night sky, the star continued to grow larger in the field of vision, and finally appeared next to the crimson moon like a platinum sun. More intense battles broke out, and the light of the crimson moon and the stars gradually dimmed. Just as Hasta was watching seriously, the starry sky presented by the window was too narrow, so he could not see the scene on the other side. He hurriedly left the bedroom and came to the balcony, where the view was wide and he could see everything happening in the starry sky. Only then did he realize that the battle in the starry sky was divided into 2 battlefields. One battlefield was where the crimson moon joined forces with the stars to block the star transformed by the superstar overlord. In the other battlefield, the 3 true gods, the White Tower, the Tyrant, and the Sun, should join forces to face a black curtain that could pollute everything. The black curtain should represent the fallen mother goddess. As for the god of war, the god of steam and machinery did not participate in this battle, perhaps to prevent possible changes. The 2 battlefields swayed the entire starry sky, and I don't know how many extraordinary people were awakened. The more extraordinary people in the high sequence, the more they feared the abnormality tonight. Because the more they understand, the more fear they will bring. The more ignorant extraordinary people and ordinary people can only see various light groups in the starry sky colliding and swallowing back and forth. They can't understand what this phenomenon means, they just watch the excitement from a distance and treat it as a novelty. Strange, doesn't the superstar overlord want to target the eternal blazing sun? Hasta frowned slightly. The 2 battlefields in the starry sky should be swapped to make it more normal, right? Could it be that the night goddess and others realized that the target of the superstar master was the eternal blazing sun, so they deliberately changed the battlefield? Wrong. Hasta's face changed slightly, and he realized that there must be a fraud here. It is impossible for the 7 gods to know the true action goal of the superstar master, nor can they make accurate arrangements for it in advance. The reason why such a battle situation occurs must be the deliberate guidance of the superstar master. Moreover, the mother tree of desire also knows this matter very well, and it is impossible for him not to be involved in it. But on the starry sky battlefield, no shadow of him was seen. The star that is fighting with the night goddess and the earth mother goddess is not the real superstar master. The real superstar master should hide on the battlefield where the eternal blazing sun is. Based on the current situation, Hasta guessed the true plan of the superstar master. As expected of Lao Yinbi, who even the jinn is afraid of, he is indeed very scary when he plays with his own mind. The eternal sun is in danger. Hasta sighed, he had already predicted the direction of this battle. But he was powerless to change all this, and it was impossible for him to run to the Church of the 7 Gods now and confess everything to the 7 gods. Unless he wants to die. He is just as he once said, he is just a witness. Lord Baron, do you need any help? Butler Neil also woke up from his sleep. He had slept well, but there was a loud noise outside, which woke him up. After asking what exactly happened, he came to Hastur and waited for Hastur's instructions. Steward Neil, what are your beliefs? I have always believed in the Mother Goddess. Mother Goddess. Hastur sighed with emotion and said nothing more. His eyes still stayed on the ever-changing starry sky. Butler Neil also looked up. Although he couldn't understand, he felt greatly shocked and couldn't help but ask, Lord Baron, do you know what this vision is about tonight? Perhaps the gods are performing miracles. Butler Neil thought carefully for a while and felt that being able to create such a magnificent starry sky phenomenon could only be achieved by the miracles of the gods. He closed his eyes and prayed devoutly to the Mother Earth. Hastur just watched all of this quietly, seeing that it was difficult to tell the outcome of the melee in the starry sky for a while, and his eyes swept over Backland at this moment. Are the extraordinaries hiding in Backland already awakened at this moment? In the luxurious villa of Rural Hall. Audrey woke up from her deep sleep. Before she understood what had happened, she heard Susie shouting with panic, Audrey, get up. Look outside. The sky is bright. Audrey rubbed the corners of her eyes blankly a few times, and was about to tell Susie that when night turned to day, the sky would naturally light up. But when her eyes glanced at the clock, she suddenly woke up. It's still late at night. She quickly got out of bed, followed Susie's guidance, and came to the window. The first moment she opened the window, her mouth opened slightly and her eyes were full of colorful lights. She said excitedly, Susie, the starry sky is so beautiful tonight. Woof woof woof. Susie made a confused sound. Susie, you still don't understand the concept of aesthetics, do you? Just as Audrey was giving Susie some science knowledge, Susie shook her head and said, Audrey, don't you feel a kind of fear coming from the bottom of your heart? How can you be afraid when you can see such a wonderful and magnificent scenery? It's more like joy and joy. Woof woof woof. Susie felt that this shouldn't be the case, but she didn't know how to explain it. After all, she was just a dog. Welcome to Fanfic Audiobook, your go-to place for immersive audiobooks. If you enjoy the content, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel for more amazing stories. The Poor Little House of Furs and Zio. Zio, who was sleeping soundly, was awakened by the noise made by Furs next door. Furs' voice sounds so uncomfortable. Isn't it the full moon tonight? Shu hurriedly got up from the bed and rushed to the room where Furs was. She didn't find Furs, so she hurried to the bathroom. As expected, she saw Furs lying on the ground. At this time, she seemed to be suffering from some terrible torture. She was crawling on the ground, grabbing her hair with her right hand and pinching her thigh flesh with her left hand, as if she wanted to fight against something. From time to time, she let out one or two painful and suppressed wails from her mouth, and her facial features were twisted together in pain, and she didn't look delicate at all. It can be imagined that pain and suffering were sweeping her whole body at this moment. Furs, how are you? Is there anything I can help you with? Shu hurried to Furs' side, squatted down, and supported Furs' shoulders. Her face was full of heartache and crystal tears in her eyes. Her past experience told her that Furs was in a very bad state at the moment, and it was very likely that her life would be in danger. Shu's call made Furs regain some consciousness. She struggled to say something, but she could not say a complete sentence. The crazy mumbling was stronger than ever before, and pain and madness were occupying every corner of her body. Especially her head, which was constantly swelling and aching, as if it would explode in the next moment. She felt unprecedented fragility. She felt that her life had come to the edge of the cliff. She only needed a slight push, and she would never be able to open her eyes again. Furs, don't scare me. Shu was as anxious as an ant on a hot pot, but she had no solution to this situation. In the past, Furs relied on her own will to get through it. And the price she paid was just a small tuft of hair. But this time was obviously different. In the end, she held Furs's head in her arms and kept whispering encouraging words. She hoped that words could dispel the pain. Tingen. Klein, who was sleeping soundly, was also shocked by the crazy warning from the spirit and couldn't fall asleep. He woke up from his deep sleep and wiped the sweat from his forehead. His spirit was still beating, as if something terrible was happening. He took a short rest. In order not to affect Melissa and Benson's rest, he got up on tiptoe and drank a glass of cold boiled water before opening the window to let some wind blow to calm himself down. The breeze blew, cooler than ever before, and accompanied by the colorful painting in the starry sky. His intuition told him that the crazy warning from the spirit tonight came from the vision in the starry sky. After watching for a while, he frowned, because he couldn't understand what those colored light groups fighting against each other meant. But the star that was brighter and bigger than the scarlet moon gave him an association. This should be an astronomical phenomenon caused by the explosion of a certain star, right? It's so beautiful. I don't know how many lifetimes it takes to be lucky enough to observe such an astronomical phenomenon in a short life. Klein admired it quietly. At this time, he really wanted to have an astronomical telescope by his side. After all, the lifespan of a star is almost billions of years, and a person's lifespan is only 100 years. The probability of the two meeting is more difficult than winning the first prize in 10 consecutive lottery draws. Of course, if it is a lottery of a certain big country, the probability of ordinary people winning the prize is probably not much less than this scene in front of him. After appreciating it for a while, Klein frowned again. No, if it is just an astronomical phenomenon caused by a simple star explosion, why is the spirit always restless? Is there an extraordinary factor involved? The extraordinary factor that can affect the explosion of a star? There should only be the 7 gods, right? Klein just thought about it and hurriedly dispelled these thoughts. He didn't dare to think about things related to gods in the real world. But it's none of my business, right? If there is really a catastrophe falling from the starry sky, such as a meteorite falling from the sky. Even if I wanted to avoid it, it was not subject to my will. Whether I could survive or not depended on my luck. Klein thought seriously for a while. It was indeed not his business, but Mr. Fool's. With such a big commotion, Miss Justice and Mr. Hanged Man would be eager to know what happened tonight at the Tarot Club next Monday. In their eyes, Mr. Fool would be able to understand the cause and effect of tonight's anomaly. I have to prepare a few answers first, so as not to be exposed at that time. With my knowledge of astronomy, I should be able to hide it from Miss Justice and Mr. Hanged Man. Well, try to make it as big as possible. Anyway, with the extraordinary strength of Miss Justice and Mr. Hanged Man, it should be a long time before they want to understand the starry sky. While enjoying the beautiful scenery in front of him, Klein thought about how to evade Miss Justice and Mr. Hanged Man's words. He also thought about whether to go to Saphira Castle and try to do a divination for what happened tonight. In the end, he gave up this suicidal behavior. Spying on the gods, and there might be more than one god. Even Saphira Castle would find it difficult to protect him. Blackthorn Security Company. Leonard, who was on duty at Channy's Gate tonight, also felt uneasy, and his spirit was reminding him that something big was happening tonight. Starry sky. A mysterious voice sounded in his body. Leonard looked calm, greeted another night watchman, said he wanted to take a break, and went outside the street. When he looked up and saw the starry sky, his eyes were completely attracted by the scene in front of him. The crimson moon, the sky full of stars, and the unknown star flashing dazzling light. On the other side, 3 different colors of light were tearing a black curtain, Or it should be said that they were surrounded by the black curtain at this moment. I don't know why, but I feel inexplicably shocked. According to the hint of the voice in his body, he naturally understood that the big event tonight was related to the starry sky. He first scanned the surroundings and saw that there was no one around. Then he lowered his voice and asked, "Old man, you should know what happened tonight, right?" "I have some guesses. Can you tell me?" "You are too weak, the truth is just poison to you." Can't you even mention it? Hee, things related to the gods, are you sure you want to know? Leonard was shocked by this sentence. Although he really wanted to know what happened in the starry sky tonight, he didn't dare to bet his life on it. A new era has begun. If you don't want to be abandoned by this new era, hurry up and become stronger. "Oh, I will." For this sentence, Leonard just perfunctorily replied. After a long silence, the mysterious voice said again, "One day you will understand how naive your vigilance against me is today. Old man, if you were me, you would not completely trust another mysterious existence with an unknown identity, right?" Haha, whatever you think, but I want to remind you again, if you want to survive, hurry up and become stronger, otherwise you will regret it in the future. Leonard was silent for a while, thought about it and smiled. "Old man, you seem to be more active than usual tonight, and you even talk a lot more. You can keep quiet because you don't understand what is happening in the starry sky at this moment. Is what happened tonight really that important?" Leonard also put away his thoughts and his face became solemn. "The whole world is destroyed together, what do you think?" With the last chuckle, the voice in Leonard's body completely calmed down. No matter how Leonard shouted, he didn't speak again. Is what happened tonight really that terrible? Leonard looked up at the starry sky that had become unfamiliar in the sky, and a chill rose in his heart. The old man also said that the world will be destroyed together. He must be trying to take this opportunity to deceive me. It is indeed important to strengthen your strength, but it is equally important to maintain yourself. Old man, I still can't completely believe you. Leonard sighed, looked at the starry sky for a while, and returned to Channy's gate to guard. The starry sky with strange phenomena gradually came to an end. Just when the two battlefields were deadlocked, the night was about to dissipate, and the scorching sun was about to take over the daytime world. An extremely dazzling platinum sun suddenly appeared near the three gods of the White Tower, the Tyrant, and the scorching sun. The dazzling and vast light first suppressed the light belonging to the scorching sun. Then it dispelled the black curtain that stretched across the starry sky, and finally took the lead in the scorching sun and spread the light all over the world in advance. The light of the crimson moon was covered, and the stars could no longer emit dazzling light. At this moment, the night came to the day, and the whole sky only had that platinum sun. The whole world became bright at this moment. There seemed to be a roar in the starry sky, and a round of blazing sun flashing orange-yellow light rose up in a hurry. At this moment, a rare phenomenon of two suns in the same sky appeared in the starry sky. But soon, the platinum sun disappeared, and only the round of blazing sun flashing orange-yellow light was still shining in the sky. The time when two suns were in the same sky was very short, and only those who had been staring at the starry sky could observe this magical scene. "That's awesome." Asta sighed with emotion, said hello to Butler Neil, who was still with him, and returned to the bedroom. "Go to bed and enter the Palace of Stars. What happened last night was too terrible, and he didn't dare to think about it in the real world. Only by staying in the Palace of Stars can he feel safe enough." Although he already knew the answer in advance, he was still shocked by the wisdom of the Superstar Master. Regardless of whether it is in terms of strength or wisdom, the Superstar Dominator has the upper hand. Especially when he suddenly appeared at the end, he did not choose to attack the eternal blazing sun first, but took the first step and took advantage of the critical moment of the transition between night and day to spread his light all over the earth in advance. The meaning symbolized here is really terrible. This is not to pollute the eternal fierce sun, but to directly replace the eternal fierce sun. Although it seems from the back, the eternal blazing sun has dispelled the influence of the superstar lord, stabilized its position, and still controls the power of the sun. But even if it is only for such a short period of time, the eternal blazing sun will pay a heavy price for it. Moreover, it may be that the goal of the superstar master has been achieved, so he chose to leave on his own instead of being driven away by the eternal blazing sun. During this process, although the night goddess and the earth mother goddess kept trying to stop it, at the last moment, the first star that appeared should have really exploded. With the help of the powerful force generated by the explosion, the combination of the night goddess and the earth mother goddess was blocked. Even the god of war and the god of steam and machinery, who protected the initial barrier, allocated part of their power to help. The superstar master can temporarily suppress gods such as the goddess of the night by simply manipulating a star. His strength is terrifying. If there was no initial barrier, even if the 7 gods joined forces, they would probably not be able to defeat the superstar lord. This is a gap in status, coupled with the fact that the power held by the superstar master is too terrifying. Take charge of the stars and detonate them at critical moments. This should be one of the powers of the superstar lord. No wonder the superstar master at the beginning was not very interested in the earth, because once the initial barrier disappears, he can detonate the entire earth at any time. Hastur has begun to worry that one day in the future, when he wakes up in the morning, the sun in the sky will suddenly change. That feeling is absolutely terrifying. In addition to the superstar master, the movements of the Desire Mother Tree last night were also very questionable. He never appeared from the beginning to the end. This shouldn't be the case. In the previous gathering of stars, the superstar master had obviously formed an offensive and defensive alliance with the Mother Tree of Desire. Perhaps what happened last night was not the most important purpose. Asta murmured, having a more terrifying guess in his mind. After the battle last night, the power of the 7 gods to protect the initial barrier was bound to weaken. The Mother Tree of Desire has a deep connection with the earth, and its influence is even greater. Perhaps the superstar master's real plan had been hidden from many existences last night and arrived on Earth secretly. Thinking of this, Hastur looked towards the star where the superstar lord was. The white light was extremely dazzling, making it difficult for him to see clearly what was going on inside the stars. After staring carefully for a while, Hastur gradually got used to the bright light. The superstar master still looks like a white dwarf star, and it still seems to be sleeping. But now, Hastur will not believe that the superstar lord is sleeping. This alien god looks gentle, but his actual actions are as fast as lightning. Very scary. Very dangerous. Hastur didn't see anything unusual, so he withdrew his prying eyes. Peeping for too long will arouse the vigilance of the superstar master. Perhaps the superstar lord simply let part of his power enter the earth through the channel built by the Mother Tree of Desire. There was no clone that personally lowered himself. It may also be that it was too difficult to lower the clone, so this practice was abandoned. Hastur thought for a while and then glanced at the fallen mother goddess, the Desire Mother Tree, the high-dimensional overlooker, and the Jinn. When he landed on the star where the Jinn was, he was shocked to find that the Jinn was acting like a demon. Bernadette, no matter how you impose the seal, today I will break through the seal and return to the starry sky. The voice of the genie is full of majesty and grandeur. At this time, he seemed to have completely occupied the wishing lamp, and his whole body was emitting golden light. In the golden light, rules and order are being reorganized. Unstoppable power is erupting, constantly impacting the seal of the wishing lamp. Beside her, Bernadette looked calm as she methodically created seals with her hands, suppressing the power of the Jinn with the help of the wishing lamp. You should also be aware of what happened in the starry sky last night, right? The lantern god spent a lot of power to manifest his own shadow in the sky above the wishing lantern. The superstar master has awakened. It was he who joined forces with the fallen mother goddess and many other entities to attack the initial barrier last night. Of course I am one of them. If you are willing to unlock the seal now and help me return to the starry sky, when the doomsday comes, I will definitely protect your life. The jinn's tone was full of condescension, as if this was the last chance he would give to Bernadette. Hey, do you think I will believe you? Bernadette replied calmly, and then concentrated on maintaining the seal of the wishing lamp. Although she knew that the lamp god was bluffing, the strong pressure revealed by the wishing lamp at this moment was indeed very real. Do you think you still have a chance to choose? If it weren't for the fact that we have been getting along well during this period, I would not give you such a gift. Let me tell you, the eternal sun has been affected by the superstar lord. Next, his power will continue to spread through the sun, and the end of the world will come early. The lamp god threw out another heavy news to influence Bernadette's mind. Haha, just keep showing off. I wonder how long your accumulated power can support you to squander. Bernadette wiped the sweat from her forehead and continued to protect the seal of the wishing lamp. If it were in the past, when she encountered the sudden attack of the lamp god, she would indeed seek help from other forces just in case. But now she knows that the evil god Sia is waiting for her near Backland. Once she leaves Backland, she will inevitably be attacked by the evil god Sia. So, she will never leave Backland at this time. I don't believe I can't scare you. The lamp god saw that Bernadette was slow to seek help from others, so he got angry. The golden rules and order turned into chains and whipped Bernadette. This was the evil taste he learned from the master of the stars. Bernadette threw out a seal, the triangular spacetime. The square iron cage turned into an inverted pyramid structure, forming a golden barrier to block the attack of the lamp god. Every time the golden chain came, Bernadette's body trembled slightly. Obviously, even across the triangular space-time, the power of the lamp god could affect her. The lamp god whipped several times before stopping, and said disdainfully, "Bernadette, you can't stop me from breaking the seal with your own strength. You can try it. Hee, how many more whips can you take? Hee, how many more whips can you whip?" Bernadette retorted unceremoniously, showing a tough attitude of no matter what. This made the lamp god mutter in his heart. Is Bernadette crazy? Why would she rather fight to the death with me than leave Backland to find others for help? Does she know that I asked the evil god Sia to guard outside Backland? Or is the pressure I put on her not enough? The lamp god only realized at this moment that he was in a dilemma. Should he continue to stalemate with Bernadette, or temporarily stop and reduce the loss of power? With the seal that was mysteriously placed on the wishing lamp, he could not pose a real threat to Bernadette at all. Otherwise, Roussel would not have dared to hand over the wishing lamp to Bernadette. He just wanted to use the momentum of the starry sky battle last night to force Bernadette, who was shocked, to walk into the trap set by himself and the mother tree of desire. In the end, the lamp god made up his mind and decided to stalemate with Bernadette again. After all, such a good opportunity may be hard to encounter a second time. Alas, if the foolish son of the mother tree of desire suddenly appeared here at this time, how great it would be. The lamp god sighed. After a period of stalemate, his expression suddenly changed, and he said confidently, "Bernadette, this is my last chance for you." He has sensed the breath of the evil god Sia coming here. If the action speed is fast enough, the evil god Sia can completely defeat Bernadette and take away the wishing lamp before the descent of the gods. His chance has come. Bernadette also felt the breath of the evil god Sia approaching, but she did not panic. A hint of sarcasm appeared at the corner of her mouth. "You are only allowed to hunt me, but I am not allowed to hunt you in return." At this time, in Backland's clear sky, an unprovoked storm gathered, and black clouds piled up. A silver-white ball of lightning flashed in all directions, like a wrathful punishment from the sky. The ball of lightning cut through the sky and accurately hit a seemingly empty space. The space shattered into pieces, and then turned into countless tiny electric currents, spreading farther along the shattered space. Dark blood gushed out from a space, and at the same time, an arm as thick as a mountain was cut off here. The tiny silver-white electric currents entangled the jet-black arm, constantly crushing the arm into powder. At the cost of an arm, the evil god Saya avoided the attack from the Lord of Storms. He did not dare to stay in Backland any longer, otherwise he would attract the Lord of Storms to descend. When he shuttled through the spirit world and prepared to leave Backland, in the distant sky, a silver circular track suddenly bloomed. A closer look revealed that it was a giant snake with its head and tail interlocked. Mercury snake. The silver circular trajectory turned in the air, time was reversed, and the figure of the evil god Sia was reversed back into Backland. Boom! Several more spherical lightnings with huge thunderous wrath fell from the sky. It was more powerful than the previous one, and it hit the body of the evil god Sia more accurately. With a roar, the evil god Sia turned into a monster with black mucus flowing all over his body and hundreds of arms. A small blood-red tree in his body opened thousands of eyes and fixed the incoming spherical lightning. Soon, thousands of eyes crackled like a string of firecrackers. Although it was only a short moment, it was enough for the evil god Sia to react. After paying the price of hundreds of arms, he finally escaped from the range of the storm. After a while, the clergy of the Holy Wind Church came in a team and jointly sacrificed a seal to collect the dark blood scattered here, and at the same time expel and purify the possible pollution here. This scene came and went quickly. Many people only heard the thunderbolt, and then knew nothing. In the wishing lamp, the genie no longer showed a phantom to provoke Bernadette, but stayed in the wishing lamp obediently, keeping his breath. Bernadette exhaled lightly, frowned slightly and said, "It is worthy of being a sequence one evil god." Even if the Lord of Storms suddenly sent down divine punishment from a distance, he could not keep him. She felt very sorry that she could not keep the evil god Saya, but she also knew that it would be difficult to completely solve the threat brought by the evil god Saya with only one divine punishment. However, after this painful lesson, he should not dare to approach Backland in a short time. After thinking about it, she still did not choose to leave Backland immediately. She could not guarantee whether the evil god Sia was still hiding outside Backland at this moment. Putting aside her speculation, Bernadette looked at the completely quiet wishing lamp. A hint of sarcasm appeared on the corner of his mouth and he said, "What did you say just now? I can't hear you clearly." After a long while, the voice of the genie came from the wishing lamp. "When did you contact the Lord of Storms? I gave them a favor when I destroyed the god's descent ceremony last time. Shouldn't they return the favor? This is not enough to persuade a god, don't you still have it?" Bernadette sneered, and the genie stopped talking. The fact that he joined forces with the Mother Tree of Desire was indeed worthy of the attention of the seven gods. The existence of the evil god Saya was always the target of the seven gods, especially when the evil god Saya was hiding near Backland. If the evil god Saya could be kept, the Lord of Storms would naturally be willing to take action. It's a pity that the battle last night should have involved a lot of the Lord of Storms' power, otherwise the evil god Saya would not have been so easy to get away today. But, what about that Mercury snake? That should be the tail devourer Ouroboros, right? I didn't invite him to attack, how could he appear here and attack the evil god Saya? If he hadn't attacked, the evil god Saya would never have suffered such a serious injury. Did he just happen to pass by? After all, he had a Wheel of Fortune card hidden on him, and fate would attract each other. Even Ouroboros came to Backland, what kind of fate is hidden here? Is there another mercury snake hiding in Backland at this moment? Bernadette thought seriously for a long time and felt that this was a very likely speculation. The only one who could attract Ouroboros's attention was another mercury snake. This was a battle of fate between them. In any case, it can be regarded as solving a troublesome matter. Bernadette thought about it and decided to go out for a walk to relax. Put away the wishing lamp and the triangular space-time, use the P-vine as a path, just walk a few steps, the scenery in front of you changes, and step out, you will come to the streets of Queens. Backland gathers special foods from many countries. The most exquisite restaurants are basically opened in Queens. Generally, only the nobles living here can afford to spend money. Bernadette walked into an Intis-style restaurant, ordered a table of dishes, tasted a few bites of each dish, paid and left. Passing by a clothing store, she would go in and choose the style she liked like ordinary noble ladies. Like many girls who only shop but don't buy, she just enjoys the process of choosing clothes. In the end, she picked out a suit of clothes that were pleasing to the eye and left. When she walked to a shop selling small items, she thought that Sharon would be back in Backland in a few days, so she would buy some small items for her. As soon as she walked into the door of this store, she felt a familiar scent. Just taking a quick look, she saw the familiar figure of Asta. This time, she did not directly come forward to disturb him, but observed in the dark. As she said last time, if she could really see Hasta for the third time in Backland, it would arouse her interest. Now, it happens to be the third time. She was curious as to why she kept meeting this young baron. Obviously, he and I are not on the same extraordinary path, and he is not an extraordinary person on the destiny path. Logically speaking, they shouldn't meet so frequently. This can no longer be explained simply by fate, there must be some reasons that she doesn't understand. After watching for a while, she discovered that Hasta also came here to buy some small items. Judging from the things he picked, he should be giving them to Sharon, who was about to return to Backland, right? He had the same idea as himself, and it seemed that he knew Sharon very well. Until Hasta paid and left, Bernadette still didn't bother. Instead, he hid in the darkness and followed him. Immediately afterwards, Asta went to the store she had been to before and asked the clerk directly for 2 sets of the most exquisite and beautiful black Gothic palace dresses. Bernadette frowned slightly. She was already sure that this was by no means a coincidence, but an inexplicable pull. Even if he didn't meet Hasta first, judging from Hasta's trajectory, there was a high chance that he would meet him. But she still didn't choose to show up. When passing by the Intis-style restaurant, Asta paused for a moment, then sped up and left the nearby area. Are you afraid of meeting yourself around here? He also seems to know that as long as he goes out for a stroll, there is a high chance that he will meet him in Backland. It seems that this young baron is not as simple as he seems. Bernadette had some guesses in her mind and continued to follow behind. This time, she felt much more relaxed. When Hasta was about to leave in the carriage, Bernadette appeared directly in the carriage and sat opposite Hasta. I shouldn't take any chances. Asta was shocked when he saw Bernadette suddenly appear, and already regretted that he should not go out for a stroll today. But he can't stay at home forever. Dear madam, we meet again. Asta said hello first with a smile on his face. You should still remember what I said last time. Bernadette's calm eyes stared at Hasta, which made him feel a little scared. Asta said in surprise, Madam, did you really not come to me on purpose? What do you think? Destiny is really magical. It seems that we are very destined. The word fate alone cannot explain this situation. But this is the most likely scenario I think of. Hasta smiled bitterly, pretending that he didn't know anything. Bernadette just looked at him calmly. Don't you know that it's easy to meet me once you go out? Hasta tried his best to explain. I just don't want to cause unnecessary misunderstandings. When you were buying those little things, I was always following you. The clothes stores you went to and the restaurants you passed were all the places I just left. Hasta couldn't think of any suitable reason for a while. He guessed that Bernadette's closer connection with his destiny should be related to the 2 exchanges he had with her as the Lord of the Stars. The fate between him and Bernadette has reached the point where they cannot dodge and they will inevitably meet. There was a smile on Bernadette's lips. It seems you know the reason yourself. Alas. Hasta sighed heavily, then his expression became serious, and he said word by word, because I am also an apostle of the stars, and there are stars to guide you and me. He felt that he needed to show his cards a little, otherwise he would always be caught by Bernadette, which would affect his normal life. Apostle of the stars? Bernadette's heart moved slightly, and she looked at Hasta with a smile. What does the apostle of the stars mean? Hasta looked calm and chuckled. You are also a person favored by the stars. If there were no stars to guide us, there would be no so-called coincidence and fate. Do you know what the consequences of believing in gods other than the 7 gods will be? Bernadette still did not admit that she had any connection with the Master of the Stars. Hasta said calmly, the Aurora Society believes in the true creator, and the witch cult believes in the original witch. It's not just the 7 gods that are worthy of belief. Bernadette's eyes flashed with cold light, and she said in a pressing tone, such disrespectful words are enough to make you be judged by the church. Dear lady, do you also believe in the 7 gods? Hasta didn't care. He knew that Bernadette was still testing him, so he had to show his devout belief in the stars. When did you start to believe in the stars? Half a year ago. If there was no blessing from the stars, there would be no me now. Have you seen him? Yes, he has been guiding me in the direction of progress. Aren't you afraid that he has any bad intentions towards you? Dear lady, if he really wants to harm you, I think you can't appear in front of me. Hasta can guarantee that he didn't lie in these answers. Without the appearance of the Hall of Stars, he would probably be dead. The direction of his progress has always been determined by himself, and he represents the stars. He really didn't have any ill will towards Bernadette, he just wanted to guide her to become an apostle of the stars so that he could do something for him. Bernadette fell into deep thought, and she could also sense that Hasta was not lying about these questions. How did you know of my existence? Hearing this question, Hasta breathed a sigh of relief. As long as he answered this question well, he could even use the identity of Baron Hasta Campbell to influence Bernadette to become an apostle of the stars. If Bernadette was the only apostle of the stars, she would be full of vigilance, but once there were other believers, she would let down some of her vigilance. The stars have been watching you, and he is also watching me. He is watching every believer equally, and it is he who told me of your existence. Hasta felt that there was nothing wrong with this sentence, anyway. Until now there has not been a true believer in the stars. Bernadette's deep blue eyes stared at Hasta, and she said calmly, do you know my true identity? Bernadette Gustave, the owner of the Dawn, the mysterious queen who roams the seas, and the eldest daughter of Roussel Gustave. Bernadette didn't speak, but leaned back against the carriage, with her slender right leg in black leather boots straddling her left leg, and her toes swaying gently. She sat casually, but revealed a hidden elegance. This move would not make people feel frivolous, but rather very pleasing to the eye. The carriage rumbled forward, and the coachman outside could not hear the sound inside, and continued to drive the carriage forward with all his concentration. After a long while, Bernadette slowly spoke. Don't you know that sometimes knowing too much is a very dangerous thing? Sharon and I are very good friends. In the reply she sent me, she mentioned that you are a trustworthy person and said that if I am in danger, I can ask you for help. Hasta said, taking out the reply that Sharon had just sent this morning from his body and handed it to Bernadette. It was because of Sharon's reply that he thought of going to the street to buy some things as a gift for Sharon, and then he met Bernadette. Bernadette did not open the letter. She pinched the letter with 2 fingertips and turned it twice, and then bounced the letter back into Asta's arms. "You have a good relationship with Sharon?" Bernadette's slightly curious voice made Asta alert all of a sudden. "Is it possible that liking to listen to gossip is engraved in everyone's genes?" "Not bad. Just like that. We helped each other a few times." Sharon rarely replies. "Maybe she was afraid that I would offend you if I didn't know the situation, so she wrote to tell me." "The 2 sets of black Gothic court dresses you bought were for Sharon?" "Yes. Do you think Sharon will accept them?" "Probably not. Are you so unconfident in yourself? She doesn't like to accept gifts from others." "Then why did you buy them?" "It's my freedom to give gifts, and it's her freedom to accept or not." After asking a lot of questions in a row, Bernadette mentioned the Lord of Stars in a serious tone. Asta, who was already exhausted, understood Bernadette's feelings a little. She was probably thinking about how to deal with her relationship with the Lord of Stars. Asking about the relationship between herself and Sharon was just a casual question to satisfy her curiosity. About the Lord of Stars, that is the one thing she really cares about. "This character is really bad, Russell. It seems that you didn't teach your daughter well." Asta said a little in his heart. "How do you contact the Lord of Stars on weekdays?" "In the dream, I can't see his face clearly. I can only vaguely see him sitting in a mysterious palace, mysterious and powerful, majestic and sacred. He is the ancient in the depths of the starry sky, and he is a guide with both kindness and wisdom." Asta tried to express his impression of the Lord of Stars in a pious tone, and praised himself by the way. Bernadette looked at Asta with a little surprise. "You actually believe in the kindness of the gods?" "He has never had any ill will towards me, and has always guided me forward, and to me, he is the most unique existence." Asta said it very frankly, but Bernadette felt that Asta was already a qualified devout believer and had learned to beautify his beliefs. "Since you have a good relationship with Sharon, I will give you a piece of advice. Don't trust any god easily." "Is that why you reject the kindness of the stars?" Asta asked back, and he was ready to start preaching. "As the first and most devout believer, it is normal to recommend your faith to others." Bernadette nodded and said, "Yes, I will not believe in any god, no matter whether he really comes with good intentions." Asta smiled and said in a calm tone, "Don't you need the help of the power of the stars?" Bernadette was silent. This sentence hit her sore spot. She needed help, so she hesitated. "We need help, and the stars have the power to fulfill our needs. In my opinion, the essence of faith is to help each other and achieve each other." "Your words are not pious at all. I have never avoided this point in my communication with the stars, and he has never been angry about it. I believe in him, and he gives me help. Isn't this a very reasonable thing? All help has a price, and you may not be able to afford that price. Then why not make it clear in advance? Just treat the process of faith as a transaction." Bernadette's heart moved inexplicably, but she didn't speak. Asta continued. "What help do you need, and what do the stars need you to do? If the two are equivalent, then this is just a very ordinary transaction. You have good eloquence." Bernadette looked at Asta deeply, but recognizing the transaction itself is a kind of erosion and pollution. "But you need help." Asta said the same thing again, making Bernadette silent. "Asking for help naturally requires a price. You should understand this better than me." Asta raised his eyes and stared at Bernadette's blue eyes, smiling. "You have enjoyed help more than once, right? You accept the benefits given by the stars calmly, but you are unwilling to offer a little faith to the stars. You're wavering, and your situation is more dangerous than mine." Bernadette returned to the clouds and walked into the house built with pea vines. Asta's words still echoed in her mind. The Master of the Stars has reminded her twice and helped her avoid danger twice. Whether she is willing or not, she has enjoyed this benefit. As Asta said, the wavering self is in real danger. Everything is under the gaze of the stars, and she can no longer avoid it. Destiny, is this my destiny? A tarot card appeared on the palm of Bernadette's right hand. Her father held a sword, majestic and sacred, and stood solemnly on a golden round wheel of destiny. This is the Wheel of Fortune card, one of the 22 tarot cards. Rose School Headquarters. In the dense forest, there is a huge black tree, with vines extending in all directions, completely covering the entire hill. The countless human-faced fruits on the trunk opened their eyes at this moment, looking from the bottom up, with eager eyes, at the top of the tree canopy. There was a white gold star hanging there at some point. It was as big as a house, emitting silver-white light all over. When the light sprinkled on every corner of the black tree, it could promote the further growth of the tree. Sunlight is the best nourishment for plants. Around the black tree, there were circles of devout believers, who knelt down to worship and offered their faith and life to the existence in front of them. That night, the gods sent down an oracle, and at the same time a star streaked through the starry sky and hung on the top of the tree canopy without anyone noticing. The gods told them that this was a star of life that could bring reproduction, but also a star of killing that brought war. They seemed to have two gods overnight. As the believers worshipped devoutly, the space in the distance shook slightly, and the god Saya appeared with his injured body. He looked very embarrassed, with his right arm broken and the wound charred. The dark mucus flowed down from the broken arm like blood, and the blood-red eyes on his body exploded from time to time. Maggots gathered at the broken arm, as if licking the wound, or connecting the broken arm. The god Sia came to the black tree with a trail of black mucus, and let the vines tie him up and pull him to the middle of the tree. At the crown of the tree, platinum stars sprinkled light beams, covering the whole body of the god Sia. His body began to grow rapidly, and with rhythmic breathing, the flesh and blood at the broken arm squirmed, and soon grew into a new arm. The god Sia opened his eyes and looked at the star, as if looking at a sun. The dazzling light made him dare only take a look, then retract his gaze and remain silent. When the night and day alternate, when the sky finally blooms the first ray of sunlight. The platinum-colored star hanging on the black tree glows all over, constantly absorbing the light of the orange-yellow sun in the sky. The god of evil Sia cannot see what happened specifically, but he seems to be able to feel that the sun in the sky is constantly weakening, and the platinum-colored star in front of him is growing. It is preparing to become the next sun hanging in the sky. The god of evil Sia closed his eyes and let the silver-white light nourish himself. The sun hangs in the sky, promoting the reproduction and growth of all things in the world, and he is also a member of all things in the world. Intis Republic, today, all the floating clouds above the headquarters of the Eternal Sun Church were dispelled, leaving only a golden sun that sheds endless light. The sunlight penetrated the colored glass and dispersed into colorful light, falling on a golden crown in the main hall. Various gems were inlaid on the top of the golden crown, among which a colorless and transparent gem was the largest. It has no color, but can carry more colors of light. Under the golden crown, stood an old man dressed in gorgeous and noble clothes. White and golden silk threads were interwoven into small suns at the collar and hem of his robe. His hair was golden, the same color as the sun. He was the Pope of the Eternal Sun Church. Under the steps behind him, stood 6 devout archbishops. Except for the archbishops who were responsible for guarding churches in various places and could not return, the other archbishops arrived here the next day after receiving the order. This is the place where you can listen to the oracle. Everyone, I have received the oracle. God said that for all the dirty and corrupt evil god churches, we will burn them with flames and pierce their chests with the swords in our hands. And the blasphemers who dare to steal the authority of God, death is the most suitable destination for them. God has given a hint that the enemy is in the southern continent, in that chaotic and disorderly area. Go, with God's blessing and your loyalty to God, go to wipe out all enemies and bring a victory to God." The Pope's voice became louder and louder, and he activated the power of the golden crown, turning it into golden light, allowing the 6 bishops present to bathe in God's gift. Praise the Son. When the 6 archbishops left, the Pope walked up the steps, stretched out his hands, held up the golden crown, and put it on his head. The whole body was shining with golden light, and the old Pope gradually regained his youth in the holy light, and his wrinkled face began to become full and plump. When the golden light faded, the figure of the old Pope could no longer be seen, only a young man in his early 20s with a kind face and a well-proportioned figure. He wore a white robe, bare feet, and the holy crown on his head turned into a golden ribbon, rolling up his dazzling golden hair. Praise the Son. With a word of praise, he walked out of the main hall and left the sacred hall that he had guarded for decades. Backland. At night, Hastur sat at the desk, looking through the business activity plan for the factory sent by manager Harley. He picked up the pen and revised some unreasonable content on it, and at the same time put forward some small suggestions of his own. After finishing, he handed the plan to Butler Neal and asked him to send someone to give it to manager Harley. At about 11:30, Hastur took a shower and went to bed to rest. He first went to the Hall of Stars for a tour, and found nothing unusual, so he left the Hall of Stars. When he fell asleep, the wind chimes hanging in the study swayed gently. In the dream, Will suddenly appeared. "Ouroboros has come to Backland. If you have nothing to do recently, don't go out and wander around." Although he is not very smart, he doesn't like to talk when doing things, and he doesn't like to talk to people about big principles. If you really meet him face to face, you will be miserable. Asta was surprised and said, "Why did he come to Backland?" "Because the breath of fate here is too strong. He should feel that the fate here is unusual, so he came here specially." "Can you lead him away? It takes some time, so I came here specially to remind you to be careful recently." "Yeah." Asta nodded, thought for a while and said, "Is there any way to cover up the fate here? Otherwise there will always be existences related to fate coming, and I will always meet them. Bernadette is already very difficult to deal with, and there is another Mercury snake, and he can't leave Backland. This life is too tormenting. The solution lies in you. In myself. Don't underestimate yourself." Will said, took 2 steps, hesitated for a moment, and whispered, "Don't let anyone send ice cream in the near future. After that stupid snake leaves Backland, remember to double the compensation to me." "Okay." After getting Hastur's promise, Will waved his hand and disappeared from Hastur's dream. Hastur was no longer sleepy after being disturbed by Will. He came back to the Hall of Stars and stretched out his hand to summon the 3rd chain of order. Just now, Will said that the solution to the problem lies in himself. He wondered if it was related to the chain of order. Perhaps he could avoid the interference of these fates by making a new rule. But he had already made a rule about fate last time. Isn't it a waste to make a second rule about fate? Hastur thought about it and summoned the chain of order that had been made before. He wanted to try to modify the rules he had made before. If he could keep the 3rd chain of order first. When he revealed his intention, the 2nd chain of order trembled slightly, and enlightenment emerged from the depths of his heart. The general meaning is, the main part has been determined, and the rules can only be slightly added or deleted, and the previous rules cannot be completely overturned. It can only be slightly added or deleted. It seems to be enough. Asta thought about it and added another sentence after the original paragraph. As a hermit of fate, he can always avoid coincidences and accidents caused by fate. Such a sentence should be able to avoid his fate from meeting and intersecting with the fate of others as much as possible. It is easy to avoid the existence of Bernadette and Ouroboros. Asta did not feel anything special about the modified rule generation. He waved away the second chain of order and looked at the third chain of order, which had not yet formulated new rules. Originally, he wanted to keep it for emergency use, but now it seems that he still needs new abilities to protect himself. When formulating the first rule, he formulated a rule similar to the general outline for himself. In the second rule, he formulated rules about fate, which allowed him to master some abilities of the path of fate. Which ability should be formulated for this third chain of order? The extraordinary path where the goddess of night is. Her secret authority is very useful, whether it is to protect herself or to plot against the enemy. In the redemption of Roses, the goddess of night became the second key figure in the plan by relying on the secret authority. That is an authority that even the ancient sun god cannot peek into. How should the rules involving secret authority be formulated? Hasta fell into deep thought. Source Castle. The weekly tarot club will be held again. This time, Klein arrived at Source Castle in advance. He first carefully recalled what happened that night, and then began to organize his story about that night. Because he really didn't know what happened that night, he needed to rehearse in advance to avoid ruining his lofty status in the hearts of Miss Justice and Mr. Hanged Man. After everything was ready, he summoned Miss Justice and Mr. Hanged Man. Mr. Fool, good afternoon. Mr. Hanged Man, good afternoon. Miss Justice was as polite as ever. From her expression, it was not difficult to see that she should not have any big doubts about what happened that night. Mr. Hanged Man had a complicated expression. He seemed to be afraid, and in his fear, he was excited and confused. He should still be afraid of what happened that night. Klein took their performance into his eyes and had already thought about how to explain what happened that night later. Of course, he would not take the initiative to mention what happened that night. Miss Justice brought 2 Russell diaries, and Mr. Hanged Man brought 3 Russell diaries. Just from the positive performance of the Hanged Man this time, Klein knew that Mr. Hanged Man would definitely ask about what happened that night. Fortunately, he had prepared in advance, so he got 3 Russell diaries for free. Klein suppressed the little joy in his heart and began to read Russell diaries. The 5 Russell diaries recorded a lot of content. The more valuable one was a person named Zaratu, who was the leader of the ancient organization Secret Order and an extraordinary person of the Path of Diviners. It also mentioned that Zaratu sought Russell's help, hoping that he could steal a dangerous seal from the Church of the God of Craftsmen, which was the relic of the Antigonus family. What's more interesting is that Russell angrily said that he would beat up a fortune-teller he met in the future. Remembering the contents of the diary, Klein suppressed the 5 Russell diaries and looked at Miss Justice and Mr. Hanged Man. You can continue. Then Miss Justice asked some questions, the Hanged Man was responsible for answering, and Mr. Fool occasionally inserted a few high-profile words. Everything was just like the usual tarot club, but Mr. Hanged Man couldn't resist his curiosity and exchanged 3 Russell diaries with Mr. Fool for the answer to a question. I want to know what the abnormality in the starry sky that night means? It was indeed this question. Mr. Hanged Man, I have predicted your thoughts in advance. Klein's originally nervous mood instantly relaxed. He tapped the table lightly with his fingers and said lightly, "This is not something you should know now. It will pollute the starry sky for you." Alger hesitated, but before he could say anything, Klein spoke first. I can only tell you that a star was destroyed that night. A star was destroyed? Alger muttered several times. His eyes were dull for a while, then he became terrified, and finally looked at Mr. Fool, who was sitting in the first seat, with a grateful look. Only gods have the power to cause the destruction of a star. What happened that night might be a battle between gods. With a low sequence like himself, once he knew these contents, he would probably lose control on the spot. Fortunately, Mr. Fool reminded me in time and told me not to delve into this matter any further.
Thank you, Mr. Fool, for your answer and reminder.
Klein just nodded calmly, but he sighed in his heart. Look, we cheated him, and he still has to thank us. Audrey, who listened quietly for a while, was very confused.
She only remembered that the starry sky was very beautiful that night, especially the star that could rival the crimson moon. The light it emitted made people want to reach out and touch it.
Did something really happen that night? Speaking of which, Susie once told me that it felt a fear from the bottom of its heart. But I didn't take it seriously. Susie, it seems to be more suitable to be an extraordinary person than me.
I can't even compare to Susie. Her face turned red and hot, burning.
Fortunately, this is not in the real world, otherwise, she would really be too embarrassed to see anyone.
But what happened that night? Audrey calmed down, looked at Mr. Fool, and asked in a low voice, if a star is destroyed, will it have any impact on us? Klein spoke in a solemn tone, and said slowly, the light of the sun will be dimmed because of this.
He did not lie to Miss Justice and Mr. Hanged Man on this point. As far as he knew, a large amount of dust and gas clouds would be produced after the star exploded. Based on the brightness and range of the star explosion that night, it was not too far from the sun. A large amount of dust and gas clouds would spread and flow, and it is very likely to block the light of the sun shining on the ground.
There may even be polar nights in some areas. Audrey said, indicating that she already understood, but in fact she didn't understand it at all.
The light of the sun will be dimmed because of this?
Alger's heart trembled, and he trembled. Among the 7 gods, there was a god of the eternal scorching sun.
He represents the sun. The sun's brilliance was dim, which meant that the god of the eternal blazing sun was severely damaged in the battle that night. This coincided with the intelligence he had received recently. According to the intelligence, the Church of the Eternal Blazing Sun has recently carried out a series of activities, especially in the search and elimination of pagans, showing a firm attitude of rather killing the wrongdoers than letting them go. There are even rumors that several archbishops have joined forces to go to the southern continent to completely eradicate the evil god sect entrenched there. Now it seems. Alger took a breath and forced himself not to think about it anymore. Mr. Fool had just warned him not to think about things related to the gods. Don't think about it anymore. Alger tried his best to calm himself down. This abnormal behavior aroused the curiosity of Klein and Audrey, and they all looked at him. Alger took a deep breath and then told the abnormal behavior of the Church of the Eternal Blazing Sun during this period.
Audrey opened her mouth slightly, very surprised that the matter involved that night was actually related to the gods.
Susie could actually notice it, but he didn't notice it at all. She fell into deep self-doubt. Klein was in a complicated mood. He really didn't expect Mr. Hanged Man to actually connect the sun's loss of brilliance with the abnormal behavior of the Eternal Blazing Sun Church, and he said it with reason and certainty.
This made him fall into deep thought. Was he a little unfair in this matter? Backland. After being warned by Will, Hasta had been staying at home honestly. Every day, apart from eating, he would read in the study and occasionally go to the garden.
He didn't go out to places farther away. Who knows if he will run into Ouroboros? It's better to wait for Will to lead him out of Backland. In the afternoon, a police officer came to announce the good news, saying that Sheriff Reed's lover had successfully given birth to a baby, a boy, and both mother and child were safe.
Sheriff Reed's words also revealed the meaning of asking him to help choose a name. For such a happy event, he naturally would not refuse. But he couldn't leave home for the time being, so he could only find a reason to postpone it for a few days, and then go to Sheriff Reed's house in a few days. At night, Will finally came to him in a dream. He said that he had led Ouroboros away from Backland, and Ouroboros would not appear in Backland in the short term.
Hastur was relieved, and finally he could be free. He asked again if his fate was covered up at this moment.
Yes, your fate aura has become very weak. Even if you walk on the street, it is difficult for you to be led by fate to meet other people related to fate.
Not only that, Backlund's fate aura seems to have weakened a lot. In Ouroboros's opinion, this should be a normal phenomenon caused by my leaving Backlund. After a pause, Will reminded. Remember to ask someone to continue to send ice cream. I want strawberry flavor. I really can't get used to chocolate flavor. No problem. After solving these troublesome problems, Hastur felt much more relaxed. After Will left, he entered the Hall of Stars. As usual, his eyes swept over them one by one.
The superstar overlord still hadn't changed, the mother tree of desire was also very quiet, and the lamp god seemed to be sealed more honestly. High-dimensional overlooker. Hey! Hastur noticed a small group of unusual light spots on the star of the high-dimensional overlooker.
The light cocoon was still surrounded by the turbulence of time and space as usual, but at the end of a silk thread below the light cocoon, there was a small group of unusual light spots hanging.
He quickly zoomed in to see what was going on. There was actually a baby in that small group of light spots.
There were two figures around the baby, who seemed to be his parents. Get closer and take a look. The male figure looks a lot like Sheriff Reed. Take another look at the surrounding environment. It really looks like Sheriff Reed's home. No way, the high-dimensional overlooker was actually reincarnated as Sheriff Reed's newborn son? Is this possible? Hastur carefully looked at it several times again. The figure was indeed Sheriff Reed, and the surrounding environment was the same as what he saw at Sheriff Reed's house that day.
The high-dimensional Overwatcher really didn't know what method he used to occupy the body of Sheriff Reed's son.
The baby boy, who was born not long ago, was lying quietly in bed at this moment, enjoying the kind care from his parents. No one could have imagined that in that extremely weak body, there was actually the power of the high-dimensional Overwatcher. If this is not the reincarnation of part of the consciousness of the high-dimensional Overwatcher, then it should be the Son of God with certain power. But what makes Hastur curious is that if it is the offspring born by the high-dimensional Overwatcher, then the ordinary people around the baby boy should have died as soon as he was born? At the very least, it will be contaminated. How could there be no impact at all? Looking at his appearance lying quietly in the crib, he is a very ordinary baby no matter how you look at it, and there is nothing strange about it. Sheriff Reed and his lover, it seems that they have not been affected at all, everything is normal. Could it be related to the special authority possessed by the high-dimensional overlooker?
The high-dimensional overlooker's source was not sucked away, and the extraordinary path was not torn apart, so it was difficult to guess what kind of authority he possessed.
We can only think about the scope of his authority from his title.
Asta pondered for a long time and thought of a feasible method, which was to get the corresponding information from the mouth of the lamp god.
With his temperament of roaming the starry sky for so many years, he must have known the ability of the high-dimensional overlooker. But how to ask so that the lamp god will not be suspicious? Directly send the projection of the baby to the lamp god, and then say lightly that it is interesting? But this is too deliberate, it is difficult to hide from the lamp god, and it may even make the lamp god doubt himself. Maybe you can ask Will. With his wide knowledge, he may really know something. Even though it is Will, you should be careful with your words to avoid exposing the existence of the Hall of Stars.
Asta thought for a long time, and still felt that it would be more reliable to ask Will first.
If it really doesn't work, he can watch for a few days. If the baby has no abnormalities, he can wait until the day when the stars gather and pretend to mention it. After leaving the Hall of Stars, Hastur got up and went to the study, took 1,000 paper cranes from the wind chimes at the window, and then picked up a pen and wrote on it, "Come quickly."
After writing, he hung the 1,000 paper cranes on the wind chimes again, and then went back to his bedroom to sleep.
After about 10 minutes, the dream came. Will, who was lying on the bed, sat up straight, pulled the quilt over his waist and abdomen, and said with a stern face, "Although I am no longer a child, the necessary sleep can still help me grow faster." Something unexpected happened. What happened?
Will's expression also became solemn. He knew that something really big must have happened, otherwise Hasta would not have summoned him overnight to ask for help.
After all, it was less than an hour since they had just talked. "Do you know anything about the high-dimensional overlooker?"
"I've only heard of the name of this outer god, and I don't know much about other aspects."
Hasta was a little embarrassed, but still asked, "Then can you guess what kind of authority he has?" "Of course I can't. Do this kind of thing." Will finally admitted his ignorance.
Alas! Hasta sighed softly, causing Will to hum in dissatisfaction. Who dares to run to the starry sky in this situation? It's normal not to know them, and this high-dimensional overwatcher has not actively invaded, and there are even few records of his existence.
Who knows him better? In addition to the current 7 righteous gods, there are only the 7 pure lights in the spiritual world. These 7 beings are quite kind and know a lot about the outer gods outside the starry sky. They should know about the high-dimensional overwatchers.
It's a bit troublesome. Hasta still sighed, and Will couldn't help asking, "What happened to make you so worried?"
"Today, Sheriff Reed's son was born. He wanted me to name his child. I didn't have a good idea for a while, so I tried to peek into the fate of this baby."
Hasta considered his words carefully so as not to appear too special.
Will blinked and whispered, "Then you got the revelation about the high-dimensional overlooker?" "Yeah." Will rolled his eyes and pouted, "Then why haven't you died yet?"
"I am more favored by fate." "Are you sure you want to talk about fate with a mercury snake?"
Hasta didn't say anything, and let Will use his imagination.
"You are obviously only sequence 7. How dare you dare to peek into the existence of the level of the outer god?"
Will was shocked. Even in his most prosperous period, he could only peek into the little secrets of the gods.
Outer gods, that is a terrifying existence that he avoids.
If he dares to peek, he will definitely be contaminated, and there is a great possibility that he will die tragically on the spot.
Hasta corrected, "I just accidentally got a little insignificant revelation when I was peeking into the fate of the baby." Will looked at him like a fool. "Do you think there is any difference?"
Of course there is. One is an active offense, and the other is passive and unintentional. No matter how careless you are, it's still an outer god. Will's tone has increased a lot. He doesn't want to argue with Hasta about this issue anymore. He thought for a while and said, "What are you going to do?" "I can't make up my mind, so I'll discuss it with you." "Don't drag me into this. I don't want to get into this trouble." "Well, let me think about it." Hasta had no intention of letting Will participate in this matter. He just wanted to learn about the news about the high-dimensional overlooker from Will.
Unfortunately, Will didn't know either. After a while, Will whispered, "Let him develop naturally. Just stay away from him. Don't get involved, otherwise people will die. Don't worry, I cherish my life and won't take risks easily."
"That's good." Will nodded and reminded, "You'd better not talk to others about what happened tonight, otherwise you will get yourself into trouble."
Well, seeing that Hasta had his own ideas, Will didn't say anything else. He waved his little hand and left the dream. With Will's warning and his own idea of continuing to observe, Hasta decided not to provoke this matter for the time being and stay away. As for naming the baby, Peeping Tom, this name should be very suitable, right? Hasta lay in bed and thought for a long time until he fell asleep late at night. The next day, he told butler Negan that he would be out recently and would not stay at home. If anyone came to see him, he should help him decline. After arranging these things, he took a carriage to Greg's villa. The security here is very strong. People like Sheriff Reed cannot approach here, so he can avoid possible contact with them. In addition, Greg wanted to introduce him to the Prime Minister, so it was a good choice to stay at Greg's place for a while.
Facing his arrival, Greg was obviously very happy and invited him to drink a lot of wine in the evening.
Fortunately, Hastur came prepared this time. He took a sobering pill developed by Grulint in advance. With the physique of a barbarian, he took all the wine that Greg poured him.
In the end, it was Greg himself who couldn't stand it and held up the sign of exemption from war. Late at night, Hastur entered the Hall of Stars from his dream again.
The other stars were still as quiet as usual, only the star where the high-dimensional Overwatcher was located made Asta keep a close eye on it, trying to find out the scope of the high-dimensional Overwatcher's authority. It was already late at night, and the screen showed that Sheriff Reed was sleeping on a single sofa next to the crib, his lover was sleeping on the bed, and the baby was lying quietly in the crib. When the two fell asleep, the baby, who was originally eating his fingers and drooling, turned over and stood up directly from the bed. He has not been more than 3 days since he was born.
This scene made Asta feel like watching a horror movie.
The baby's body was shaky at first, and then gradually became skilled until he stood firm.
He walked to the bed, his short legs stretched out of the edge of the bed, reached out to hold the handrail, and gently swung his feet.
He looked in a good mood. While swinging his feet, he tilted his head and stared at the parents of his body.
It seemed that he was thinking about how to treat them. In the dark night, the baby's eyes looked particularly scary. When Hastur saw this, he thought that the high-dimensional overlord was going to kill his parents directly, turning him into an orphan. But the baby just stared at him, without any desire to attack. After a while, Sheriff Reed's lover shook slightly, stretched out an arm, and reached into the crib in a half-asleep and half-awake state, habitually wanting to confirm the baby's condition by touching it. The baby stood up, staggered to the crib, and then climbed up the crib with his short legs.
The second before Sheriff Reed's lover woke up, he appeared under her arm so that her hand could touch him.
And there was a loud cry of a baby at the right time. The cry quickly woke up Sheriff Reed and his lover, and they quickly got up. One was busy changing the diaper under the baby's buttocks, and the other gently patted the baby, trying to calm the baby down and fall asleep again. Such a warm scene made Hastur speechless. I have to sigh that those who look down from higher dimensions really know how to have fun. Apart from being able to play, Hastur couldn't think of any words that could be used to describe the operation of the high-dimensional overlooker. Judging from his skillful appearance, it was obvious that he was a habitual offender. Playing the role of a baby was simply too much for him. It's true that he was hiding in the dark every day to spy on the other outer gods' past existence. When he actually acted, he was really extraordinary. After a brief moment of slander, Hastur's expression became solemn. He didn't believe that the high-dimensional overlooker would suddenly get up from the bed and make the series of actions just now. This is obviously a provocation. He must have sensed that he was observing him just now, so he climbed up from the crib, sat on the edge of the bed and dangled his little feet. Including the subsequent series of actions, he did them all for himself to see. All he needs to do is point it out directly. I am here, come and target me. This is a provocation, a temptation, and a trap. Hastur has not yet been able to discern the scope of authority of the high-dimensional overlooker, and he is not even sure what kind of state he is in now. Once you take action against him, it is easy to miss some areas that really need attention. If things are not handled well, high-dimensional observers can use this matter to find out the situation on their side. And this is where the trap lies. What if we ignore him and let him grow freely? Hastur is sure that the high-dimensional overlooker will definitely do some tricks in the future. For example, killing your own parents and polluting everyone around you. Or as time continues to grow stronger, the longer it is delayed, the more terrifying the power that his new identity can exert. By then, I am afraid that even the 7 gods will not be able to target him."
After thinking for a long time, Hasta still thought that he could not let it go.
Whether it was intentional or coincidental, the place where the high-dimensional overlooker was born this time was in Backland, and it happened to be within his network. If you let it go, this disaster will spread to you sooner or later.
Is it difficult for a grown-up alien god clone to destroy a Backland?
Absolutely not difficult, of course. He cannot handle this matter by himself, but should let the Church of the 7 Gods do it for him. Hasta thought of a suitable person, Bernadette. Not only is she a powerful being in Sequence 3, but she is also connected to the Church of the 7 Gods. It is very appropriate for her to come forward to resolve this matter. Another point is that, according to Hasta's understanding, Bernadette is only one step away from being promoted to Sequence 2.
Promotion Sequence 2 Sage need to prevent a disaster involving high-level power. As long as Bernadette can handle the disaster caused by the high-dimensional overlooker, she will definitely be able to take this opportunity to advance to Sequence 2. This is a gift from the stars. Hasta murmured, already having an idea in his mind on how to persuade Bernadette. After thinking for a long time and confirming that there was nothing wrong with his words, he withdrew his gaze from Gao Wei, who was looking down at him.
Feeling that he had plenty of spiritual power, Hasta used the power of the Hall of Stars to contact Bernadette again. As before, first shield the jinn's perception of the outside world to prevent him from discovering that he is connected to Bernadette. Under the light of the crimson moon, Bernadette happened to be strolling by the Tassac River with Sharon, chatting about some of the things that had happened during this period, and occasionally mentioned matters about Hasta. "You seem to be paying close attention to him." Sharon's pretty brows wrinkled slightly. In the conversation just now, the mysterious queen asked her a lot about Hasta.
"He is not a simple man, and I think you should stay away from him if you can."
"Why? He puts you in danger and is a huge nuisance himself."
Bernadette did not point out that Hasta was the apostle of the stars.
"It won't be long before the Church of the 7 Gods will start looking for the apostles of the stars. That will be a huge trouble." Sharon thought for a while and was about to say something, but found that Bernadette's expression instantly became solemn. "You go back first." Bernadette left her last words in a hurry, and a pea-vine would lead her to the depths of the clouds. Sharon looked up, her eyes unable to penetrate the clouds and unable to know what exactly happened just now. After just staring for a while, she left here. She also lacked the desire to explore things beyond her cognition. Above the clouds, the crimson moon has been replaced by stars. The vast starry sky has descended, and a mysterious palace is looming in the bright light. The Lord of the Stars is here again. This time, Bernadette was not as nervous as before. She stood quietly, waiting for the Lord of the Stars to explain his purpose tonight. "Bernadette, are you willing to become the apostle of the stars? Can the stars grant me the same freedom?" Bernadette did not refuse directly, but just put forward her own conditions. During this time, she thought a lot. Even though she already owed 2 debts, becoming an apostle of the stars was something she couldn't refuse. But before that, she needs to fight for certain benefits for herself. As Hasta said, the essence of faith is the exchange of interests and mutual achievement. Bernadette breathed a sigh of relief, and the master of the stars deep in the starry sky spoke again. "The stars will only guide, not force."
"Can you be more clear? You can also call me the returner of the stars." Bernadette was inexplicably shocked. At this moment, she seemed to have glimpsed her own destiny, but it seemed that she had not glimpsed anything, but her spirituality told her that she could believe it.
"Okay, I can become the apostle of the stars. This is your inevitable fate." In the Hall of Stars, Hasta was in a happy mood. He finally managed to deal with Bernadette. Why does it sound weird? "The stars will give you new gifts." "A gift? Bernadette looked at the illusory figure in the starry sky in confusion.
It's not that she has little experience, but that she has never seen such a generous spirit.
Before she became an apostle of the stars, she had already received help twice, and now it was the third time. The stars treated her too well. There is a disaster about to hit Backland. This is your best chance for promotion. Involving high sequence levels? Sir of the Outer God. Bernadette took a breath and felt a little numb on her scalp. The Outer Gods are even more terrifying existences than the 7 great gods.
Even if I am sequence 3, I am in danger of falling due to this kind of thing.
He is still very young, only a few days old, Hasta said, displaying the snooping screen in front of Bernadette and guiding her to confirm Sheriff Reed's home. He is not your responsibility alone. With one final word, Hasta dispersed the power of the Palace of Stars, allowing the crimson moon to shed its crimson light again. You mean you want me to find cooperation with the 7 Orthodox churches?
Bernadette understood clearly in her heart and had a clear plan on what to do next.
Thinking that the opportunity to be promoted to Sequence 2 was right in front of her, even she couldn't help but feel a little excited. Only Sequence 2 and above can be called earthly angels, which are essentially different from Sequence 3. Once she is promoted to Sequence 2, she can block all interference from the Hidden Sage. Unless the Hidden Sage appears in front of her, he will no longer be able to affect her. This is something she has continued to fight against as she embarks on her extraordinary journey. Sheriff Reed's house. Baron Campbell has been busy with work recently and has been unable to come, but he has promised to name our child. While Chief Reed was talking to his lover, he stretched out a finger to tease the baby lying on the bed with its big dark eyes. What a pity. Baron Campbell is our benefactor. Don't worry, when Baron Campbell comes back from work, we will take this little guy with us to visit him. I believe you will also like this quiet and cute little guy. Sheriff Reed smiled and leaned down and kissed the baby gently on the forehead. Be careful of your beard piercing him, his lover reminded him with a smile. Well, I'll shave off my beard later. Chief Reed smiled and agreed. Soon, he said goodbye to his lover, stood up and left. He still needed to go to the police station for work. He took a lot of leave during this period, and things that originally belonged to him were assigned to other colleagues. He didn't like to cause trouble to others. When he came to the police station, he thought about his newly born child. Chief Reed was walking with a smile on his face. He took the trouble to tell every colleague who came to congratulate him how cute his child was. When he arrived at the familiar desk and was about to handle the case on the desk, a police officer came to call him, saying that Inspector John wanted to see him for something. Chief Reed straightened his collar and walked briskly to Inspector John's office. John said with a smile on his face, "Reed, congratulations on giving birth to a big fat boy." "No, dear John, he is not fat at all. He is very handsome and looks very suitable for a clerical job in the future." The two exchanged simple greetings, and Inspector John told him about the case to be handled. Sheriff Reed happily agreed and said with a smile, "I will go to the Holy Wind Church in the afternoon. I will definitely help the priests catch those little thieves."